And if I can ask you about the hunter.
You get a lot of questions.
Yeah, I know, and people keep sharing about this because everybody's like, wow. Because I've listened to this album now for 3 times, and I can feel like there's a pre-hunter. The album starts, it goes on, and until it gets to the hunter, and after it kind of goes somewhere. I feel like this is a very important turning point, not only because it's 15 minutes and it's very.
And that's the short version.
Yeah, I guess it is. But I'm wondering how those lyrics came up, because obviously we hear it with the music, but when you were writing that song,
but that's one of the songs that I wrote on the spot, I would say, because I already had like the lyrics and everything for that song.
You mean while recording?
Yeah.
Wow.
And it was, at the time, it was called By the Seaside Window.
Okay.
And it had more of that tone of that person who's like inside looking out. But from the moment since the moment I wrote it, and then, there was like a little bit of time between. And then I realized that there was something more to the song that came out. And I think that I only, in the initial lyrics, which is a long piece of poetry, I'm mentioning about the hunter at pretty much only at the beginning, but it kept following me within, the whole recording process. And that's why I said I didn't really think about it much.
Sure.
It came, and then I rewrote, and then I realized what the hunter was, and what it could be.
Wow.
So because at the beginning, it was more, you're looking at something happening, and then when you embrace it, then you realize that it's something that it's happening to you. But by looking at other people, you don't have to face really what it is, because you're focused on what's going on very far, from you. And then as you kind of just let go, just like the song, it's so long, and at one point you're just like, it's going on forever. But then if you really let go, then you keep bouncing and bouncing, and suddenly you're having like the reflection of that window reflects your life. It reflects your face. It reflects you, your condition, looking at other people's condition. So, and then even if you try to avoid that reflection, it comes back at you, and with everything, it's hunting you down. Might be time, might be illusions, might be regrets, grief, or love, but it's hunting you down. So that's why, and the song started from that perspective of looking from outside, looking to the people from inside looking out.
Sure.
And then it was the reflection.
Was the other way around.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's why, that's one of the songs where I rewrote a lot of the lyrics.
And that happened while you were recording. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I remember Ben calling me, say, Alex is like, never see screaming, never see
Yeah, that was
like
fun.
that.
It's funny because it's been the way we worked, and for me, I didn't want it to be restricted in any way. So, and I had a place in Virginia, and where I feel good and at peace, and so we set like a little studio there, and it was very intimate, and Ben was coming with so much gear. It was very funny. He's a very gear nerd.
What a surprise.
And all those microphones,
sure,
and all those things, and all the fancy shit, and
just like you embrace.
And it was very funny. And but because Ben was so enthusiastic about the project and was so into it,
yes, he was,
and his energy was feeding also the moments that we were sharing. But the context was really, I was with the boys here, and we were doing vocals. And most of the time, I said, "Oh, well, I forgot to remove, their collars." So they ding. At one point, Makai is like, "He's on me," and so there.
Wow.
We had to deal with all those noises, and at one point, for the hunter, I just let go and I'm screaming, and this is just like, it's one of the little moment in the record where there's like that uplift of emotion, and Makai was like, they're always coming like this, sleeping at my feet, and Makai just like freaked out, and he jumped on me while I was doing the recording, and because he wasn't able to have like any kind of reaction because I kept going.
Sure.
So then he turned to Ben. It was like,
do something.
Yeah, just like, and he jumped on Ben, just like, dude, don't you realize there's something weird here?
Happening.
So that was that environment. It was very,
That's
it was very peaceful, and we laughed a lot. And it's funny because the record, you know, when you listen to it, it's just like listening to like a The Cure album or Nick Cave or whatever, those kind of artists. And you want to imagine them being very miserable and to, you know, to cry on every song. But I think that when you slowly take those emotions and you make them yours for real, and you face them and you're honest with them, then it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be that miserable.
Sure.
It's very emotional. We had like amazing times, and it was very intense, but you know, it wasn't heavy. It wasn't like it wasn't a burden to do like it used to be for me within the context of Your Favorite Enemies. At one point it became like some kind of a burden because of the schedule, because of the time, because of all the implications and everything. It was so complicated.
Sure.
So, and I didn't enjoy much, you know, if anything at all.
Wow.
But for the record, for this one, I said, well, because there was no ambition. So I said, just let's take it as it comes.
Let's just do it completely different.
Yeah, and Ben was there with like all the gear and everything, and like ready to record, you know, just like, so.
Wow.
So, and on the mountain, it's a different life as well.
Sure.
You know, so Ben was like kind of waiting, and then I was coming, so okay, well, you know, so are you up to work today or whatever? And then say, oh yeah, let's go, man. I was waiting, dude. What do you mean? I'm here. I'm ready. You know, let's go. Let's
get
do some
busy.
shit,
Yeah.
So and then we were just like laying down music, and after that, all the lyrics. And again, it's been very, it's been a very peaceful process.